it's not very pleasing. I'll just show you. No, it's not very. No, it's not very. So
Hello.
just place few things on the back.
Um, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Google meeting में तो it's okay with this thing on.
Good morning, Dr. Aditi. Good morning, Hardik,
अभी वो
Joshua.
ये भी mute होता है और ये on
Good morning,
होता है.
sir.
Hello.
Good morning, Ayush.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Good morning, sir.
it Dr. Sharma from pathology? MC Sharma.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Thank you for joining in, sir.
Try and connect to hostel network or something.
Welcome you.
It's good to know that some of us have some respite on a Sunday despite what's going on.
आप change कर दीजिएगा slides पे जाके.
ठीक है.
आप नाम भी change कर लो अपना.
Good morning, Bharat. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
सबकी फोटो 90 डिग्री रोटेटेड आ रही है. I am fully recovered, sir. Thank you for asking. Nice to know. Madam, your house is like a palace, sir. Thank you. Good morning, Professor Kulcha.
Good morning, all.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Hi, good morning everyone. I just joined from my phone. Abhi tak I was connected from Mukul's laptop.
You know what's the best thing about? Let's not say, best thing, but one of the good things about the pandemic is that all doctors, despite whatever specialty they are from, have become physicians to a certain extent. So you learn so much about managing patients, even if you've been out of touch for a few years in between because of all the calls that you receive and all the suggestions that you can give. Come here, go there, to this hospital, or meet this person, or manage your steroids and oxygen. Very, very important. So that's a takeaway for me, at least. I mean, I don't know about the opinion of everyone else.
Good morning, everyone. I think we are ready to go. I'll welcome you to the third episode of the second season of the White Coat and Other Stories. Today we have an episode which has been named Metal Meets Metal, and we have Dr. Gurpreet Gulati, aka and the AIMS undergraduate band called Blitzkrieg for you. I'll hand over the proceedings to Dr. Biswaroop Chakraborty and Manas to take us through this episode, which is probably the most awaited, and as the numbers show here, this is the biggest opening that we have in a long, long time. So, over to you, Biswaroop and Manas.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. So, as we see that there are lots of participants who are logging in, and without wasting much time, we'll straight away get into the proceedings. So, we welcome you all to the next talk of the Whiteboard and Other Stories, organized by the AIMS Student Wellness Center and AIMS Scientific Society. At the outset, we would like to wish all of you and your near and dear ones good health, courage, resilience, determination to fight the ongoing pandemic. Also, music is the great healer. There is a famous saying which goes as, I have found that no matter what life throws at me, music softens the blow. With that spirit, keeping in mind the current situation, we embark on today's episode where we have two sets of interactions lined up. The first one is with a budding music band formed by our own undergraduate students. This will be followed by Dr. Gurpreet Gulati, taking us through his inspirational journey from a celebrated doctor to now as a musician with cause. Over to you, Manit, to take us to the first section with the undergraduate band.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. So, as we all know that most of us are stuck at home, quarantined away from friends and relatives, and during these testing times, different forms of art like music come to our rescue. Likewise, we are honored to have with us the AIMS UG band, comprising of 4 semester 6 students who have come to our rescue from this daily monotony of work at home, or for the braver ones, the work at ward. So now, as a 2020 batch first year student, it's always an inspiration to meet seniors who so wonderfully balance their academic as well as non-academic life. And what better example than the AIMS band? The AIMS band Blitzkrieg has been an inspiration across all batches, especially us. And we would love to know from them how they started, what are their activities, and how they wonderfully managed their MBBS studies as well as their great passion for music. So over to the AIMS band Blitzkrieg, I would hand it over to Joshua and Arjun.
Thank you, Manad, for a very lovely introduction. The Blitzkrieg, we are thankful and we are very excited to be part of this talk. And we are also very excited to present to you our journey as musicians. And also, we would like to speak about our growth as musicians too. So I would like to present our story through the form of slides, a PowerPoint presentation. So someone. Hello. Okay. So our band's name is Blitzkrieg, and so first, I would like to say a few words about our band. We are 4 6 MBBS students, and all of us share a passion for rock music and all of its forms. And we got together because of our common love for music, and we were encouraged and supported by our seniors to form a band because they also had a band before. It was called Roti, Riff of the Iceberg. And they encouraged us to form our own band, Blitzkrieg. And after our formation, we have played in numerous occasions and performances in AIMS, with the performance in Pulse 2019 being our most memorable one. So now I would like to say a few words about the members. So the first person is Ayur. So Ayur is the frontman and lead vocalist of our band. He also plays the rhythm guitar. And the thing to note about Ayur is that he is extremely metrosexual. It's very difficult to find really bad photos of him. And even if you find, and among all his good photos, it's very hard to find 2 photos in which he wears the same clothes. So Ayur has impeccable fashion sense. And fun fact, his dress code the photo you see in the presentation now was featured in Cooves, which is a fashion brand. And Ayur is easily the most charismatic of the bunch. And he makes all of us look bad just by being in the same band as us. And the second member is Arjun. So Arjun is the go-to guy for everything related to guitar, and he's a lead guitarist who like who makes amazing solos. He also plays rhythm guitar and sometimes the bass, and sometimes he helps Ayur out as a background vocalist too. And in terms of dressing sense, Arjun lies on the opposite spectrum of as that of Ayur. So he makes us look good even on our worst days. Uh, Arjun is known to have worn a pink sweater during. He wore a pink sweater to a performance. All of us, or the rest of us, were wearing formals, and he was the one who turned up in a pink sweater. So he is well known for that. And another thing you should know about Arjun is that he loves to make stupid jokes, and he enjoys and he's a sucker for stupider puns. And the third person is Bharat. Yeah, so Bharat is a violinist, bassist, part-time drummer, and he can play almost all the instruments in the music room. He is kind of like this buffer that we have. He plays any instrument when we need him to. So He's the most talented he's the most talented member of a batchmate of a band, and he's easily the most respected one too. And he can whip out really amazing violin solos at a second's notice. Also, although he's a bit shy when you first meet him, you'll soon find that Bharat is a very fun guy to be around. Bharat is also a hardcore Manchester United fan, and he is a captain of a Batches football team. So that's it about Bharat, and I'll hand it over to Arjun now.
Thank you. Thanks, Joshua, for that flattering introduction. So now I'll just briefly introduce Joshua to you all. So as you can see, he's our man behind the keys. He plays the synthesizer for us, and he is the glue that brings all the different components of a band together. It's only because of his synth playing that we have a background to build up our sound on. And he's also known for his amazing arpeggios and soulful fills, some of which you might be able to, with some of which you will hear today. So that's like a small teaser. And he's a very, very famous party animal. If you go around Ames, you will hear a lot of stories about him related to parties. So that's just a brief introduction to Joshua. So I'll tell you a little bit more about us. So actually, the idea to form a band came around when all of us performed for a music club meeting back when we were freshers in 2018. Our seniors had just organized a music club at that time, and they had requested all of us freshers to come and play something for them. So that's when we realized that all of us can play instruments and that we're pretty good at it. So they also told us that you guys have similar tastes in music, you guys can play the instruments pretty well, so that we should get together and form a band. So because of their impetus and our desire to perform, we got together and we had a first live performance back in Malhar 2018, which was a festival organized by the Ames faculty. So these are photos from our first live performance at Malhar 2018. So this marked the first time we performed live on stage, and also the first out of many times that I would screw up on stage, where we were performing 3 songs, and I forgot to perform half of one of the songs we were performing. But Joshua and Bharat were pretty surprised at that point of time, but we somehow managed to cover it up. I don't think many people realize that we missed out half our songs. And this was a very important experience for us, as this made us realize this was probably the first time we were performing on stage as the 3 of us together. And this made us realize how much performing was enjoyable and how much we loved it. So this enthused us to perform more and more often. So just a little bit more of our history. After this performance, we went and talked to Iyer, who was a very great singer. We knew about him then, but we didn't approach him for Malhar. So we asked him to join us, and he agreed. So after that, we just needed a drummer to complete our band. So we didn't have in that time at least any drummers who would be interested in playing with us. So we put up a message on this page called Band Associations of Delhi, which is a Facebook group, asking for a drummer. And we got in touch with Manan. He's presently in DU, and he's presently with a different band. They have released a few albums on Spotify and things like that. You can check them out. I'll tell you about them later. So he was then in 12th, so he agreed to play with us for some time. So with him on the drums, we are finally ready for our first real performance, which was on Valentine's Day 2019. So now on to Valentine's Day. This performance was really special for us because first of all, it was our first band performance, and more interestingly, we had to fight our seniors to be allowed to perform that day because they were busy organizing the entire event and they didn't want another headache. But we pestered them, and finally they just let us do whatever we want. And then after that, we had to battle with the speakers. We had to tweak the settings multiple times to get all of our instruments to sound. And after that, also unexpectedly, it was raining heavily that day. So somehow we pulled through all of that, and we were able to have our first performance, which we think went pretty well. But sadly, our ploy to get girls sort of backfired a bit, because while we were up on stage performing, lots of people from my batch and the seniors, many of whom had never seen talking to the girls from our college, were talking of the LHMC girls and were picking them up one by one. But anyway, we were all lucky enough to end up the date, so it went fine after all. So after this, some people asked us why we chose the name Blitzkrieg, so I'll just explain that briefly. So after Valentine's Day, our next performance was to be at Infest, which is an inter-batch competition at AIMS, which has many events like inter-batch dance competition and stuff like that. So most of us were preparing for these events. So the idea to actually perform at Infest came around just a few days before Infest started. And we were practicing a lot up till that point, up till that day. And on that day, we realized that if we wanted people to come to our performance, we needed a poster. So this made us realize that we also needed a name. So we were pretty worried about what to do about what name to choose, what to do about it. And then Iyer, out of the blue, suggested Blitzkrieg, saying, and I quote, "Yeah, dude, it's such a cool name, man." So, and I think that sort of exemplified what we were trying to do, because Blitzkrieg is a form of German fighting in which an army suddenly overwhelms its opponents and defeats them. So I guess that's what we were trying to do. We were suddenly trying to appear into the common AIMS consciousness and show that we are a band. So that was an apt name. After this, at Infest, this was probably our longest performance till then. We had an hour's time and we performed around 9 to 10 songs, almost all the songs we had ever practiced and prepared till then. And this was also special because we had one of our batchmates, Kirtana, he's also a very nice singer, joined us for the performance. And this performance actually made people realize that there is a band at AIMS and that band includes us. So it pushed us into the common consciousness. So after this, we had a performance at a faculty dinner. So as you can see in the photo, this is me in that pink sweater we were talking about earlier. I think there was some sort of message about a dress code, navy blue, black, but I think I missed that or purposefully ignored it because I was too lazy to take off my sweater. So that's how I showed up. And at this gig, there was a miscommunication between the faculty and us, who told us that our performance was going to be at the faculty club initially. So we boarded up our instruments. We took the drums, the guitars, the amplifiers, the microphones from the music room in one of our seniors' cars, and we went to the faculty club. Then we took it all out, and then we saw that there was a different event going on there. So after that, we contacted them, put it all in again, and reached the swimming pool. But we were just in time for the dinner, so that was good. So anyway, that performance went pretty well again. After this was the biggest performance at Pulse. Probably a biggest performance to date, and on one of the biggest stages there could be. And I really like this performance because this was our first foray into the realm of heavy metal. And we opened our performance with a very drum-heavy, drop-down tuning electric guitar cover of Toxicity by System of a Down, which is a very high-energy song. So I think we got ourselves pumped and the audience pumped up with that song too. So this just further reinforced what all we loved about performing, about the energy up on stage, about people looking at us, about how much we enjoyed it. So this was our biggest performance till date probably. And after this, I'll tell you a bit about our future ideas. Right now, we're planning to go ahead and arrange a song. Actually, 2 songs which Ayer has written, because till now we have been doing covers only, mostly of rock and metal songs. But now Ayer has written his own song, so we're going to arrange that and we're going to release it. And we also finally plan to create an Instagram page because we've been fighting through multiple bouts of laziness. This idea has been there and we have been preparing songs and videos to put up on Instagram for a long time, but no one got around to creating the page. So that is one of our goals. But our biggest goal right now would be to keep on improving and keep on practicing so that we can go and take part in competitions outside AIIMS, which we were planning to do before the lockdown. We were planning to go in competitions in 2020, but then the lockdown happened. So I think we're still planning to go to competitions, but now only after the lockdowns. So thank you. That's it from us at Blitzkrieg.
Thank you so much, Arjun and Joshua. Enjoyed it. So now let's move on to the performances by Blitzkrieg.
Before the performance, I'd like everyone to just mute their microphones once, and if you can, put on earphones because it might not translate well from your phone or computer audio. Thank you.
As the cheerless towns pass my window, I can see a washed out moon through the fog. And then a voice inside my head breaks the analog and says, follow me down to the valley below. You know, moonlight is I've survived against the will of my twisted folk. But in the deafness of my world, the silence broke and said, follow me down to the valley below. You know, moonlight is bleeding from out of your soul. Follow me down to the valley below. You know, moonlight is bleeding from out of your soul. My David, don't you worry, this cold world is not for you. So rest your head upon me, I have strength to carry you. Cause of the 20s rising, golden summer's just holding you. Follow me down to the valley below. You know, moonlight is bleeding from out of your soul. Follow me down to the valley below. You know, moonlight is bleeding from out of your soul. Come to us, Lazarus, it's time for you to go. As the cheerless towns pass my window, I look at you all, see the love there that's sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps. I look at the floor and I see it needs sweeping. Still my guitar gently weeps. I don't know why nobody told you how to unfold your love. I don't know how someone controlled you. They bought and sold you. Look at the world and I notice it's turning, while my guitar gently weeps. Therein missing, we must surely be learning sleeping while my guitar gently weeps. I'm sitting here doing nothing but aging. Still my guitar gently
Was very nice, yeah. So I'm sure half of the people will now be scrambling for any instrument they can find, search YouTube for some tutorials and start right away. That was very nice. Thank you so much. So now we'll be moving on to the next part. I'll hand it over to Biswarup sir.
So, it was simply wow and outstanding to say the least. Now, if you guys realize, under normal circumstances, all of them would have, presented it live together. In the current scenario, they were at different cities. They recorded their individual portions, then combined it into one video performance, and then, they put it for us. And the other part was that hats off to the technical team, who is looking after this presentation to put it all together. So, this was simply an amazing performance, and we can't wait, enough to see you guys performing live once the pandemic is over. So now, moving on to the next section of today's episode. Now, this is truly an inspirational story. An interventional radiologist par excellence at AIIMS New Delhi, and now an amazing musician, our very own Dr. Gurpreet Gulati sir, now Joe Rocks, a musician, composer, lyricist, and performer. People who know him closely have always been impressed by his knowledge of music, musical instruments, the process of recording and creating music. The most important attribute of a successful person is humility and sincerity towards everything that he or she does. And Gurpreet sir truly exemplifies it in the best possible way. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Biswa. Well, I'm quite overwhelmed with the number of people in the audience, and I would also like to congratulate the Ames band Blitzkrieg for their amazing journey and the performance that they have put up at such short notice with all these technical limitations. So, best of luck to you guys. If I can share my screen and show you my presentation to begin.
Mukul, you would have to.
Yeah. Give me
Yes,
that
sir.
option.
Doing that.
So, is my screen now shared? Can you see it?
We can see it.
Okay. Okay. So that's the two sides of my personality that you see over here. I'm a singer-songwriter, composer, and producer from Delhi. I also perform with my band till recently, of course, before the pandemic. So this is my vision, to create music, to transition, switch careers from where I was in medicine to where I want to be as a musician, as an artist. So I must admit that I was always interested in music, but the real seriousness about it came about in class 12th, interestingly, when I was about 6 months into my 12th class, and I saw a friend playing the guitar during one of the breaks that we had during studies, and I was very, very impressed. And given the kind of music I was listening to at that time, most of it Western, whatever access we had through CD, through cassettes, and through TV, I thought I'd delve into this field. And in fact, my parents gifted me an electric guitar as my prize for getting into medical college, which was Maulana Azhar Med College. So the first few years of college, I used to play with friends, and we participated in various events. I managed to win a few prizes for the performances as well. But then, as it usually happens, I became very busy with my studies and became increasingly hard to pursue my passion. And then, with the demands of job and marriage and kids, I had to give up music altogether for many, many years. So that's what happened. Over the next 20 years, I completed my MD first from MAMC in Delhi in radiology, and I joined the Department of Cardiovascular Radiology at the All Institute of Medical Sciences in 1999 as a senior resident, and then transitioned to become a consultant for the next 17 years. So I was doing diagnostic and interventional radiology. I was teaching radiologists. Sorry for that. Yeah, 1 second. I was teaching radiologists all around the country. This is just a small glimpse of a YouTube video where I was performing embolization for an artery venous malformation in a patient, and this was being telecast live all around the world. So really enjoying my work, with my passion for teaching, research, for developing new techniques. This was a technique for opening up occlusion of the inferior vena cava that I developed in the department, and was fortunate enough to work with many passionate radiologists, cardiologists, surgeons. The kind of field that I was in, I was interacting with everybody around from the entire Ames. And I was publishing and presenting and getting recognition for that. But then, as it happens, somewhere around when I was 40, 41, I started to feel a bit, to be honest, bored with all of it. As you can see here, I'm sitting with a co-speaker and looking at the screen in a bored fashion. But, maybe it was midlife crisis. Maybe it was a kind of a burnout with the intense schedule of, doing clinical work and teaching and researching at the same time. So it was kind of getting to me, and I thought I need an outlet. I had a great set of colleagues at the Cardiothoracic Center, but, as you can see here, a bit differently dressed. Never ever lost an opportunity to perform even and then at that time, because I tried to pick up the guitar in between, but it wasn't working. But I thought, let me give it a try in front of a real audience. And fortunately, on that particular night, it worked. But everything actually changed during the watershed year for me, which was 2013, and this was on a fateful trip to San Francisco when I was sitting by the Golden Gate Bridge after a medical conference, and I started writing. Sitting on that bench. In fact, I can show you a picture of the diary on that exact same day when I wrote that poem, which later on became into a song. And once I returned to India, I just couldn't stop. I picked up my guitar, I changed the strings, slowly started working on my music. Didn't have the luxury to attend classes physically because of the timings that you can imagine at the Ames. But then, I was upgrading to better instruments, bought a new guitar, bought a new guitar processor, set up a small home studio, which, as you can see here, looks pretty rundown at that time. But then I just wanted to go on, and that's how it went after that. In 2013, the April of 2013, this was about 2 months after that medical conference, I had made the decision. I was not just very sure about the timing of it because this was such a big decision to be made for me. I had to answer my inner calling. I was very passionate about my radiology, but I was equally passionate about music. So it was becoming a bit difficult to balance these two sides of mine. But I thought, let me just do it on the side and keep going and see how the response comes to me on a personal level, as well as from the people who listen to me and give me critical feedback. So I started collaborating with musicians. I got involved with various bands. That was my first band. We performed on the 7th of February in 2014 at a local cafe. Then came Souls on a Gradient. Then came Equilibrio. We performed on TV. Then I was involved with Centrifugal, performing at various venues. I was actually playing the bass at that time, as you can see. Playing the bass was interesting because basses are always in demand. And in fact, they can make a lot of money too if you're not talking about just medicine as a career. But this was one way of me trying to learn the various genres of music that were going around at that time, and I had been out of touch with the live music scene for all these years. So that is why I did that. We formed 2 years ago the Ames faculty/residence band called Chumbak. We performed at MAMC. We even performed at Pulse in 2019. Then came finally the one band which has still withstood the test of time for me. That's the Joe Rocks Collective, my current band. I must also mention in between that I formed a band for a short period as a duo with NS, that is friend of mine. But that band is no more. It's called Fifth Dimension. And that was one part of band which I wanted to mention here because that guy, despite being into anesthesia and also loving his work, was equally passionate for music. So, those kind of relationships that if you develop, particularly in your undergraduate years and in your residencies, you must never give up on them. Leaving aside egos and everything, bands need to be made to work. They don't just work on their own. So we're performing at various gigs. I started my YouTube channel. In 2019 is when actually I left Ames, having completed 20 years. But then immediately afterwards, the pandemic happened. I was looking forward to perform at various venues. We had gigs ready, we had bookings, but then everything just kind of shut down. And it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise for me. I had a lot of work that I had already written. I started writing a lot of songs. I also did a lot of English and Hindi and some of Urdu poetry, and all of that sort of was coming together. It was kind of shaping my this kind of a forced vision of becoming a solo artist. So that is what this pandemic did for me specifically. I learned to produce music. Producing music is a different ballgame altogether from composing it, which means that you have to decide the structure of the song. You have to learn how to arrange the various instruments in the various parts. You have to learn how to record, how to use equipment, how to work on a digital audio workstation. So all of that was that part of that learning process. Because again, there not being a luxury of engaging a video editor or shooting outdoors, I also started to learn video editing, and I was enjoying that process. In fact, many of the videos that you see on my YouTube channel have been edited by me. So more and more collaborations were also working out, and with all of that, what happened was that I managed to release about 7 songs over the last 1.5 years. And the first of that was the tribute to Corona Warriors, which was called Kahe Gabrai. a song that I wrote in 2 days with a friend of mine from the Ames, and a song that we performed for a video which was shot in Ames in one single day. And the guy you see here who's in the audience, my dear friend TK, was really instrumental in getting us that song done and going around. It actually became quite viral. Uh, for me and for me as part of Ames, it gave us a lot of recognition. The the song was aired on major TV channels, and it also featured behind the Prime Minister when he was speaking on Mann Ki Baat, and many lakhs of views across various platforms. Then came this experiment for me, which was a combination of rock and rap. Again, a collaboration with a dentist friend, which was called Not a Song, and it was a Earth versus Human story, and it got featured by Akkar Bakkar, which is a popular digital media platform. Again, going with the times, that we were living in this last year. Then came this tribute to organ donors called Tu Hi Data. Again, a collaboration with the musicians and singers from Ames. Got featured by Mohan Foundation, and the song actually aired on radio as well. Continuing with this stream of, so what I was doing is I was transitioning from medicine to music. So as you can imagine, all of the songs that I've talked about right now have been dealing with social and health issues. So to be honest, this is not what I was wanting to get into, social and health issues as a music as a means of projecting that kind of work. But people said that why don't you do this? Because given the background, given the level of seniority that you've been, people and the kind of times that we are living in, these kind of songs can help you deliver the message, and people will also listen to it and be more aware of the kind of issues. So one area which I am really passionate about, besides music, besides medicine, is talking about mental health. I've had very close friends who've suffered from depression, anxiety, BPDs, and everything. And I thought I must make a song that helps particularly the younger people relate to their issues and helps them get the courage to fight their inner devils. So this was a song which was called Kaid, as in imprisoned. And this song actually was very well received. It's a Hindi rock song, by the way, something which is closer to kind of genres that I wanted to perform, and was featured on various magazines, came on TV as well. Moving on to the current year, again, things have changed drastically for us over the month of April to begin. I had a few songs already ready to be written. I have 2 song audios and videos already ready to be released. But again, I'm not just in the kind of frame of mind to release those kind of songs. One of them is called Agrasar. It's a motivational song for vaccination against COVID, but I don't think people are really in the mood right now to look at vaccination as a primary mode of, getting over this pandemic issue. I think they're more right now concerned with how to get people the right kind of treatment and in the timely fashion. So I'm just holding on to that. The other song, which is Behal, is from my 4-song EP called Love Undone. Again, it's energetic, though a bit of a heartbreak kind of a song. But again, this song has to wait. This is not the time that I'm going to release this song and I'll feel guilty about it all the time. So, but in the meantime, in the early part of, or let's say the mid part of the last week, is when I was thinking about how we can use music in this time, to relate to people, to help them express what they feel inside, and the helplessness that the warriors feel, and the kind of motivation that the common man on the street, the good Samaritans who are helping others outside, the kind of motivation that they need. So why not try and echo that through music? I didn't write it as a song. It was actually called Tere Sathu. It was actually a poem which I co-wrote with a very good lyricist from AIMS, he's a scientist called Dr. Dikshit. And we did this salute to Corona warriors, and within 2 or 3 days of the release of this lyrical video on YouTube on my channel for this particular poem, I got a call from a journalist from the Hindustan Times, and she said, I want to interview you for this poem that you've done. And I got featured on the HT, totally unexpected, but I think that's how it is. What I'm trying to say here is, if you believe in something, and if you do something with a lot of honesty and passion, and if you can somehow marry the kind of background that you have in a different field that you may be in right now with your passion, then you can actually do wonders. So it's actually quite a simple process, but you have to stick to it. No, that's a big deal. So just a few words about my YouTube channel. I would be really grateful if you guys can subscribe to me. I'll post a link to the channel on the chat box, on the GoToMeetings, as well as on the YouTube streaming live. Because I'm just close to 1,000 subscribers, and if you help me get there, I'll be really thankful. This channel has got over 70 videos now, which comprise of originals and covers in all different genres of music. It has got instrumentals. I have also collaborated with other musicians on some of my videos, and there's some do-it-yourself kind of stuff as well. If you want to, for example, learn to record your vocals in a better way. So those kind of instructional videos that I'm starting just make out, so you can also have a look at that. My parents always asked me, that medicine was a great way of you to giving, for you to give back to the society. So why do you want to get into music? I said, then what's music for? Isn't music also a great medium of doing that? So this is one thing which, again, I have been very fortunate to do, because I found the people who are like-minded, who have that same amount of energy to, give back to people. Particularly because I'm from AIMS, that's always my first priority. So I, along with some friends, we founded the AIMS Kala Sangam. Many of the people who are in the audience right now listening to us. And this became the cultural hub at the AIMS. And we also started the first ever talent hunt at the institute. We received 166 entries, and we had to do actually 2 auditions to, get the final list of participants spread over 3 months. Then I'm also on the organizing team of this open platform for emerging artists from the city of Delhi. It's called Ferry Open Mic. I've been a judge and mentor for various music competitions in and around the city. I also run and manage the Discord Experiment, which is a music community channel on the YouTube where guitarists and other musicians from around the world collaborate. So that was a bit about my story. Currently, as you can see, this is my band. I simply love to perform live. So given the limitations that I'm in, I've become a solo artist. I do perform solo on stage as well, but what really gives me the greatest happiness is to perform with a full band and with the audience joining you and dancing and singing with you. For me, language or instrument or genre is never a limitation. So been very lucky to be able to do that with other musicians. Well, there have been challenges, undeniably, as they are for any artist. Some of them which are particular to my situation, being from medicine and starting off so late. First was obviously, my family, because they had these concerns that how will you run your life? How will your family be able to survive? And I said, first of all, your definition of success is about money. My definition of success is not about that. Although money is important, and in fact, I'm thankful to my parents for having given that kind of feedback to me, because it kept me grounded and very pragmatic in terms of organizing my finances and planning for my eventual retirement. So over the last 6 years before I retired, this is what I was doing. I was saving up, I was investing, and maybe I can answer a few questions about this if you have, and then I can tell this to you in more detail. The other thing that I was constantly, and I still do, constantly fighting is that my inner devils. All artists always feel, am I good enough? You get these ebbs and peaks of your musical creativity and your journey. That what I'm doing, is it good enough? Will it be acceptable? Should I be singing in a certain way? Should I be playing an instrument in a certain way? Should I experiment with a different genre? Because that's what's going on at the moment. I think that's all absolutely crap, if I may use the word. Don't ever get any kind of negative feedback, hold you down. Criticism, feedback, yes, we are always acceptable to that. But you have to learn to sift between what is good feedback and what is bad feedback. And always never be sorry for yourself, and don't be hard on yourself. Whatever you are, first of all, you are the luckiest person on earth to be involved with this highest form of art. And even if you can strum the guitar for one chord, you still are better than 90% of all the people out there in the world. So I always say that. Then, because of getting into it at such a late stage, I thought, is it too late? And I keep reading these questions that people ask me. is it too late to learn the piano? Will I have the kind of dexterity? My mind is already so full of things. Will I be able to get more information into my head? It's never too late. There's always a time. And more importantly, that time for you is decided by somebody else, and which is the higher power. So don't just think about those aspects at all. Just get them out of your head. One particular issue which I can see in a light-hearted manner is that I always used to think that यार मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा respect तो नहीं दे देंगे क्योंकि मैं doctor हूँ, मैं बड़ा हूँ age में, and most of the people that you play with are very young, 19-year-olds, 25, 22 years olds, and I sometimes I had a challenge to actually get out of them the actual feedback about my creativity and my performance, because they will say हाँ सर अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा है. So आप तो सर डॉक्टर हो, आप तो बाकी चीजें भी कर रहे हो, तो हम समझ सकते हैं. That's all bull, that's shit, right? I mean, you don't need so much respect for the kind of thing that you're doing now. That respect is because what you were, but you're not looking for that. You're looking for somebody to appreciate or criticize you for what you are right now, and just keep it real. So that was a kind of challenge which I still face. And the first thing I tell people, when they start off with Gurpreet sir, I said, what about sir, man? I mean, in music, you are way too experienced than me. So what does sir have to do with it? It's nothing to do with what I have been. Just forget that. So that was about me. These are a list of my socials where you can, check out my work. You can get in touch with me on the numbers, or you can email me. I'm extremely, extremely open to any kind of help or any kind of queries that you may have about your own passions. It may not just be music. I love to, interact with people. I love to help out, and particularly for my fraternity, I'm always there. So thank you for your time, and we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that inspirational presentation. What must have captured everyone's attention is the fact that in every phase of your life, you have been equally sincere, dedicated, and disciplined towards your work, and that has been the key to your success. I think it's a very important learning message for all of us here. Now, it's the moment that we all have been waiting for. Yes, Gurpreet sir is now going to perform live for us. Now, as we enjoy his performances, I would ask everyone to type your questions in the chat box for both the band and sir, as we'll move on to the question answer session after sir's performances. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Biswa. So the song that I'm going to do for you is the third one from my upcoming EP. It's actually an English song. It talks about this girl who has been cheated upon, and when she confronts the guy, he actually scars her. So the song is called Scarred. Hope you guys can enjoy. Running away into the dawn, piecing her hair on a song. Beautiful life, just him and me. Here's my angel, so thought she. I said, here's my angel, so thought she. Then her friends, let's make it to her. They say, hey, hey, Jennifer, this wrong's a cheat, he lied to you. Pick the pieces, what's left of you. I said, pick the pieces, what's left of you. This is the ending of your grace, and it all seems a crazy days. This love's not even worth the chase. It's just a song with another phrase. She gon' give up, thick and strong. Takes him on, who did her wrong. I need my days back, my dignity. Don't you think I'm gonna let it be? I said, said, don't you think I'm gonna let it be? He's a sick man, he's a liar, but his own hands made it fire. She hears the screams of the dead, the fingers clawing her skin red. This pain of love and deceit will die, and it's the scars I'm left to cry. I'll keep my honor despite the shame. They call me the Scarface, I love my name. Love my name. Love my name. It's in the ending of your grace, and it all seems a crazy days. This love's not even worth the chase. It's just a song with another phrase, with another phrase, with another phrase, with another phrase. Thank you.
Too good, sir. I mean, the same thing again. We just can't wait to, hear you perform live again once the pandemic is over, and I mean, we all look forward to that. So, Manit,
Thank you.
it's over to you now to start the question and answer session.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So this is a wonderful opportunity to interact with the band and sir for direct question and answers. And I would encourage the audience members as well to post their question and answers on the chat so we can take it up later. So let's start the question answers. My first question is to the band about the trigger point into music. So how did you members start your journey into this world of music? What was your trigger point that drove you to start playing music and then into the stage you are right now?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm really glad to be here. It's such an honor for me to share the stage with all of you. So, for the question, I would like to explain our journeys one by one according to our band members. So, first of all, Arjun is our lead guitarist, as you already know. For him, the trigger actually happened because of his family mostly. His family was into classical music for a long time, so his grandma used to make him learn tabla. So first he learned classical music for a year, and he used to play tabla. But then when he reached ninth grade of his school, he thought maybe tabla is not for him, and he discovered the guitar, and then he never looked back. So about Bharat, he used to play violin and learn violin with his dad, and then they slowly started playing together. So that was his trigger. And for Joshua, he used to learn keyboards when he was really small, but then the trigger happened when one day at church, his dad explained to the church choir that Joshua was learning guitars. So the church choir was really impressed, and he called Joshua to join the choir, and then they started practicing together. So he got better and better. So for me, I was inspired by my seniors in school. So all my seniors in school, they were into rock music and heavy metal music. So even my brother was into such kind of music, so I got inspired by that, and then I got.
Oh, thank you, Ayur. That was nice to know how diverse backgrounds each of you had and where you are right now together. So, my next question is to Gurpreet sir. The same thing. How did sir you start your journey into music? What was your trigger point? And were you exposed to music since your school days, or did you start developing a passion from college? What was your trigger point?
I was always studying in 11th and 12th, to be honest. Um, but as I mentioned in my presentation, I spent a week in the middle of 12th watching a friend play the guitar, and that was the only learning, to be honest, I had. Then in college, I used to hang out with the bands, particularly my college band, and used to be backstage with them. Felt great to be part of the crew, so to speak. And I used to observe them very closely, that how they actually work together as a band, and how they make music, and how they get rid of all these ego issues. And never had any classes. I mean, offline classes, I would say. So just watching all this, my friends and other people on the stage play was very inspiring for me to learn. Um, I think that has to do with the fact that at that stage, I always want to do things my way. I sometimes feel foolish telling people about this. Uh, when you have the luxury of access to various resources, and even more now, at that time there were hardly any. Um, Apart from the fact that yes, there was less time and my parents wanted me to focus on studies, I think I could still have gotten physical classes from somebody. But then that's what I would like to change, looking at looking back from all those years. um, I was also personally on a very competitive. I'm a very competitive personality. That's been a blessing, but that's also been one of the evils that I've had to deal with. And given the competitive kind of um, times that we lived in, because parents always wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, engineer in those days, um, I thought I must chase my dream of becoming a doctor. My parents are doctors. My brother was already into medical college at that time, so they were big enough reasons for me to be competitive and focus more of my energies on medicine. But yes, if there's something that I want to change looking back, is that yes, I could have managed my time better and given more time to learning music properly. So yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Since we are on the topic of learning music, I would like to ask the band that how did each member acquire these, phenomenal skills? Like, how long have you been playing these instruments, and did you receive any professional training, or like, how did you acquire these skills? Please tell us.
Hi guys, Bharat here, and thank you, Manis, for the question. Actually, three of the four of our band members have taken professional training. Like, taking my case, I actually started at the age of 3. I actually went with my father to the sir. But actually, professionally, I started at 5th standard when I started to study grade exams for violin and piano, actually. And 1 minute, like, I will tell about the grade exams right now. These are actually conducted by institutions like ABRSM, which is known as Associated Board of Royal School of Music, and London College of Music. What they do is like, it is just like our 1 to 12 grade only. There are 1 to 8 grades, and they make each of the people, each musician in like any instruments like violin, piano, or even vocal, to practice a fixed song. And also they check you in sight reading and how you read all the notations, and also they like test you with their theories, like what is crescendo, what is legato, all the Italian words and all. And like that, they grade you into 1 to 8 grades. And in that, I got by the 10th standard, I finished my grade 8 in violin and grade 5 in piano. And I also learned Tolasa drums from my dad only. My dad was taking classes from another sir. So that's it from me. And Arjun, our lead guitarist, he, like I said, he started at the 9th standard to work under a teacher.
And after 1 year, he started to do sight reading, reading notations and all. And he did a grade 2 exam also. After that, he left that and solely he went to YouTube, doing songs by his own and singing and all. About Joshua, he started piano by 6th grade, and by 9th grade he finished 4th grade. By ninth standard, he finished 4th grade of piano, and right now he is also doing all the YouTube background and all the solos and all. Coming to Ayur, he actually didn't have any professional studies from anywhere. He did started guitar on his own from 6th standard, and then singing in 11th standard, I guess. And he solely got inspired from his, I think, bigger brother and all his friends, and then started YouTubing and like jamming randomly. So as you can see, like from the band members, there are people who have taken professional training and also others who hasn't taken it. So it is actually an inspiration to all the other UG students also, for them to like if they have a doubt in mind, like if am I good enough for this, is there any time left for me, like just go with your passion. We even we all the band members are there for you. If you want any help, any guidance, just go for it. See YouTube videos, take lessons, and try as much as possible. Just go with your passion. That's all. Thank you.
Nicely said, Bharat. Thank you so much. And since the Ames Band is always there to help you, these like as I mentioned, there are many budding musicians in our batch, in the audience as well. So I would like to ask Gurpreet sir that since you mentioned that you also didn't receive any professional offline training like Ayur, so what were your sources of learning, and what would you suggest to budding musicians of like online learning is now the trend? So what would you suggest how to approach their passion, like simply not give up and develop their own hobbies from different sources? So please suggest sources and how you learned music actually.
I think the best way to learn is to listen. The problem with many of us is that we listen to songs, we enjoy them, we go with the beat of the song, but we don't actively listen. If you listen to, I was attending this workshop by Salim Suleiman the other day, and not Salim, sorry, Salim Merchant the other day, and Salim was, he's again a very grounded and very, very helpful guy. And he said this one thing which stuck with me. He said that to be a good musician, you have to be a good listener first. And what that means, if I can go in a bit of detail, is that you must understand the structure of the song. Just don't go with the lyrics or the beat. Listen to what the bassist is doing. Listen to how the guitarist is playing the melody on the back. Many of these rock songs, which I feel that a lot of people are there in the audience who love rock and blues. Listen to the kind of melody that the guitarist is playing behind the vocalist. Listen to what the harmony is being played by the listening is what I really by the piano guy. So actively want to encourage. The other thing is, again, all of this is in the absence of a formal training, I'm saying. But if you have the access to formal training, by all means do it. By all means, go ahead and do the grades. It's great to pick up songs very quickly, to be able to jam with people very quickly, to be able to make compositions much more quickly. But aside from that, if you do not have the luxury, as I imagine for us medicine people, there's tons of resources on the YouTube. But there's a lot of garbage there as well. So some YouTube resources, with some online resources which I would strongly recommend, which you can access, is that go to the tutorials by Marty Schwartz. His blues DVDs, his blues tutorials are simply excellent. For guitar, I'm saying. Again, for guitars, there's guitarlessons365.com. For people who are more into metal and rock, Ben Higgins official is another great site. And this guy actually doesn't tell you as much about music, but the technical aspects of playing the guitar. If you are into piano, I am taking this wonderful course from Udemy. It's a course by Robin Hall. Amazing course, incredibly practical. Doesn't go too much into theory, which is important, but not too much. And so that's great. If you want to make music at home, in these times and with a shortage of time that we as medicine people have, you must learn how to set up a home studio. It may be very, very much from the scratch. It may be having just rudimentary equipment. You have to learn how to set up, and you can ask me how to do that. I can help you. But if you want to specifically learn how to operate a digital audio workstation, then I would strongly recommend following this guy, Musicians on a Mission. Rob Mazes. He teaches you, like, he gives you, goes through the baby steps of making music at home. Recording, producing, how to use. I mean, obviously, it's targeted towards Logic Pro, which is what I use. But I'm sure there's so many tutorials that are available for Reaper, for Ableton, for Cubase, all of that are there. There's one guy who actually tells you about how to actually understand a song as a piece of art. Talks about how they came about composing the song, how they chose the particular chords for the song, how to develop your ear for music, how to learn to do intervals, how to do scales, whether it's guitars or piano. And that guy is Rick Beato. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Rick Beato. Amazing guy, and always ready to help, and lots of videos from him. As I said, be an active listener, but whenever you get the chance to work live with another person, always listen to them, how they are doing their work, because that teaches you a lot about music as well. So that's my 2 cents about for budding musicians.
Oh, thank you, sir. That would be useful to new ones as well as to the band. So thank you for the sources. Now moving on to the band, one question that I have, that most of us have, that since it's a band, it's often difficult to meet up and practice regularly. But since all the 4 of you are in the same hostel complex, the dynamics are quite different. So, like, how often do you meet up? How do you practice? How often do you practice? And how often do you take part in competitions? So could you walk us through those things?
Okay. As sir already said, like, listening to music is more important than just playing it. First, we need to understand the type of songs that we like. So most of us, we like same genres of music, basically rock and roll and heavy metal. So in rock and roll, we mostly like progressive rock and classic rock. So first, we listen to more and more songs, and then once we like a particular song, we share it with our WhatsApp group first. So in our group, we talk about doing a particular song, and then slowly, individually, we practice on those songs. And then once we are perfected on those songs, we jam together in our music room. So we are lucky enough to have a music room together. So once we perfect a song, then only we practice. So it's like 3-4 times per month, except during the exams, of course. And about the competitions that we were going to take part in, like, our Pulse 2019 performance was the most inspirational and the most encouraging to us. So after that, we decided maybe we should go outside AIMS and also participate in the Battle of the Bands and all these competitions that take place. So we were almost decided in taking part in Battle of the Bands, but then the pandemic happened and we could not. So hopefully, after things get better, we should be able to perform with you all, and then also we should be able to take part in more and more competitions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayur. So now moving on to Sir, one central question that most people have is that the balancing act. That's the hardest part, I think. And since you are the most experienced here, of course, between UG, PG training. So, sir, how did you actually balance academics and your passion for music? Is it even possible to have this balance? And what would you advise to the UGs to, since music is such a hobby, such a passion that it demands time, for practice, for learning. So how did you balance when you were in your UG days or when you were teaching as a professor? How did you balance between music and academics, and what would you suggest to the UGs regarding this balance?
Yeah, I always say this, that never self-loathe and never complain to yourself. Don't feel sorry that you don't have time. My friends from school who are in field or who are already into a job, they are controlling their time, and I simply cannot. don't complain. I can tell you for sure, you just need 30 minutes to 1 hour of dedicated practice every day. You need to evolve a system of going through the warm-ups, do the exercises, do the actual practice of a song. And within that 1 hour, it's very, very easy to complete that. Don't complain that you don't have enough time, because I used to joke with my friends when I was posting some of my videos, and they said, "Why are you singing in the car on that video?" I said, because that's the best soundproof environment, number one, and that's the best time to practice my vocals. So that's like 1 hour of travel time, very well utilized. Um, Practice every day. As the people in the band said, practice, practice, practice till you get it right. Practice it's very hard. By nature, all of us are lazy. We are tired from our classes. If you are doing residency in critical care, I mean, you are the most tired person on earth right now. But then you can always give it time if you are clear about your priorities. If you are passionate enough, if you are driven, I can tell you it's not difficult. You would have heard stories of Steve Vai practicing 24 hours a day. Do you need to be Steve Vai, for example? For one, I mean, you don't need to be Steve Vai, right? That can wait. So do with the situation that you have the best that you can, and trust me, it will all work out with time. With all the mistakes, I mean, after one, जैसे कहते हैं ना, मैंने सर जब मेडिसिन ज्वाइन करी तो मेरे को 2 साल बीच में गैप ईयर लेना पड़ा था. Don't worry about that. Does it matter after 10 years that you are 2 years senior to another person who was in school at the same time but is now into a hard position? It doesn't matter, right? Spend less time on gaming and watching trashy social media. I tell you, it's a killer. It's very hard to stay away from those devils. That wastes a lot of your time, and all the time that you say you don't have is actually going into that. Instead, use that time constructively. Talk to friends, listen to music, take time to watch and learn online. And also, in the current era, it's so important to use social media to promote yourself. I cannot stress it enough. I am a very bad businessman. I don't know how to market myself, but I'm doing it on my own because at least I have control over my social media, right? And instead of wasting time on social media, watching stuff, just invest it into promoting yourself. That's very important. Doing that also helps in another way because it makes you externally accountable for what you're doing. I can play my music, I can listen back, was it good enough? I can ask my family, but they will never tell you the true picture. The true picture will come from people who listen to you outside, the ones who you don't know. So if you keep posting, so when you post, like you don't post your first take, right? You take 10, 20, then if you post, taking you better on its own. Or when people say, hey, something and you did crap. I mean, you didn't sing this properly, or your chords were not matching to the actual chords. That makes you take critical feedback positively, and it pushes you to get better, trust me. So that's about my take on this.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure all of us can learn something from that, even those who are not practicing music. So thank you for that, sir. Now, my next question is to the band about your creative process. So, particularly in reference to the 2 songs you played today, that how do you start from scratch? How do you select the song? How does the idea manifest into a melody? So please walk us through this creative process of such an amazing performance, especially in reference to the songs you played today.
Okay, thank you, Manis, for the interesting question. Just like Ayush said, we have a WhatsApp group, and 1 month just before any program, we will guys, what are we going to do this time? And Arjun or Joshua will chip in all the ideas of music that they like. For example, in this program, Joshua put Lazarus, Arjun put While My Guitar, Yesterday and Lovely. Yeah, these 4 songs were there. And we selected Lazarus because it is such a beautiful song. All the 4 of us like it very, very much. We always, whenever we are around together, we always keep this song. And the main thing is Joshua's piano. It is so beautiful. In it. Like whenever we used to, jam together also, we always did this song first, and then only we went to next other. And while my guitar, we saw like all the four of us were getting equal parts in this. Like Ayur with the song, Joshua has a good background in it, and Arjun has two very good leads, and I just composed the new lead and put it inside at the very end. And this is how we actually seeing how many parts each of us can play, and then dividing it equally, and then we select all the songs. And after selecting it, it is like Ayur will completely go to his room, listen it for like 1 week completely into this, and it take all the minor even what uh, techniques, everything from inside the song, and then he starts practicing all on his home. And Arjun and Joshua, they are very good at taking all the posts. Actually, they just work together, and then we three sit up together, and then we give a sort of a framework for the song, where to do the lead, where to do the background, where to add this, where to add the extra things, and all those stuff. And then we come just like I was said, like we practice like 4 to 5 hours every day for 20 days mostly. If we have a lot of songs, around 8 songs, because during Infest we had around 8 songs, so we were like practicing 5 hours completely for 20 days at least. So this is how we do it, and while we are jamming together, Arjun, Joshua, we pitch in ideas for what to do here, what to do there, and we also record ourselves and hear it twice or thrice to see if there is any problem, and if anything we can do to improve more and more. And like that's only what we are doing. And then when we are satisfied, we just perform it live.
Okay, I think I'll add something to that about this performance. Because of the pandemic, we had to improvise a new method to perform and get together and create these songs that you heard today. So for that, first of all, we'd all listen to the songs and we'd all learn our parts. And I would be the one, I'd play the guitar along with the metronome, keep time to the song, and I'll record it and I'd send it out to everyone. And then individually, people would listen to that guitar part I played. Then they would practice their parts, put it in time to the guitar parts, and then record it. We used earphones mostly this time because we don't have professional microphones. So we used earphones to record. So everyone recorded their parts, and all of it was sent to Bharat then. So then Bharat worked with a digital audio workstation and compiled our parts together, stitched the tempos and everything. And then I would ask everyone to send their individual videos, and then I'd sit one day and in a mammoth 10 to 12 hour session, put all the videos together, do all the editing, and then just create the song. That's how we did it this time.
Yeah, this time
another
to
thing,
online it was. Joshua, go on.
Another thing that I would like to add is that we also listen to many versions of the same song. Like for Wild My Guitar, there was this anthology version, there was this acoustic version, and there was this amazing cover by the Main Squeeze. So we were inspired by all three of the songs, and we took elements from each of the songs to incorporate it into the final one. So that is one thing that we usually do, so that every person would have a part in the song, and we would execute it beautifully.
Yes, I actually really liked Main Squeeze version, and like I did my lead thoda sa hearing to Main Squeeze only. Like I kept on hearing it like 50 times at least, because I really like the last lead of Main Squeeze. And it is actually thoda sa hard to do through this pandemic, because we are not together, and it is so hard to chip in ideas because we are so far away, and it takes time to reach even Arjun or Joshua if we have to like give an idea if whether to do this lead or to do that lead, or whether to do this here or to do that there. So it was sort of challenging anyway, but I think it came out well.
Process also seems challenging, but the way you handle the online one as well, that's truly inspirational. Thank you so much, Bharat. So yeah, sir, the same question to you, Gurpreet sir. What is your creative process? How do you start from scratch from an idea to a performance? And it will be quite interesting to contrast your process with the band. The audience will also enjoy it. So that's my next question to you.
Okay. So I will actually talk of two different aspects to it. One is the aspect of the creativity that goes into the making of a song, and second is the aspect of how you actually translate that into a performance on stage, right? So for the creative process of songwriting, first of all, you need to write songs that you believe in. I've had my share of doing covers and I mean, in general, songs sung by other people. But if you're talking about songwriting in itself, what you need to be always aware is make songs that you believe in. If you take my case, there are two streams of songwriting that I go by. One is about social and health issues, and the other is the ones that come from my own personal space. The song that Behal that is going to come out, and a couple of more which talk about what happens when love comes undone. Those are the kind of songs. So do what you actually are happy doing, and you want to get your own message out to the people. Don't wait to be perfect. Don't wait to be proficient in whatever instrument that you're playing. Just go ahead. Don't think that people will start judging you the moment you start playing the song. I mean, just take it easy, make mistakes, but then keep practicing and get better. You will eventually get better. And don't think that you can do everything on your own. Some of the songs that I do, I engage singers, I involve lyricists, I involve people who play instruments. Bharat has played the violin on the vaccination song that is going to come out. So be always open to collaborate and learn from others. Now, as far as starting to write the song, there is no formula that is set in stone. You could start with lyrics. You might just wake up in the morning and think that there is a melody which I need to start writing a song on. So you could start with the melody. Either way works fine. But whatever you start with, I mean, I used to do this whenever, and even when I was in medicine, like when you're doing interventional radiology, you are innovating a lot. And you have a patient who you did an ultrasound the previous day, and you want to now open up his artery the next day. And it's always playing on your mind, okay, let me devise this new method of opening up the artery. Let me use that particular catheter. I saw that guy 2 years back in a conference and he did that. So do the same thing here, man. I mean, as soon as you hit an idea, please write it down in a diary, wherever you can. Just write it down. Keep it safe. You may not use it for the current song, but you could use it for something else. Then work on a structure. I mean, don't just say, "यार मैंने melody लिख ली, मैंने एक verse बना लिया और मैंने तो गाना बनाना शुरू कर दिया," and just tell your friends. Once you have that idea, stick to it. Maybe give yourself a break. Start again after 2 days. Then give a break. But have a structure. From intro to verse to chorus to how many verses. Then there's a bridge section. There's a guitar solo. There's a outro. So once you have that structure in mind, then you can be very hands-on about it. It's not very technically thing. Like it's an art after all, right? So I'm a pretty hands-on person. Once the structure is done, I'm very hands-on. I'm always open to suggestions. I could end up having a song which is so different from what I thought of it as at the beginning. So sit on a piano, sit with your guitar, open up your workstation, create some beats. Then maybe you don't like it. Okay, forget that. Let me do another one, and make music on the go. It's a very time investment related process, but trust me, you will get to it as long as you're taking it very hands-on, and as long as you're treating it something which is an art and not just a profession. Like many of the musicians, they get misled with in the songwriting process by making songs that people want them to hear, or going by the suggestion of somebody else. Be true to yourself. Make a song, even if one person likes it. I think, for me at least, I mean, I would say my day is made. So make songs that you believe in, and make songs that you can do justice to and you can feel proud of at the end of the day. If I would talk about performing on stage, what are the things? Again, no formulas, but again, do your homework. Always practice. Get it tight with a band. Get it absolutely tight to whatever extent you can. The vocalist has to remember the lyrics. This is a problem. I'm a vocalist on my band. I've seen so many vocalists. यार बाकी लोग आ जाएंगे, सेटअप कर लेंगे, मैं last मैं दूंगा. That's not the right approach. Be open, be helpful to your fellow members, keep your ego aside, remember the lyrics. If you remember the lyrics, you'll get the feel right. It's not a easy job being a vocalist. Don't consider it like that. If you get the lyrics right, then only you'll get the feel right. If you are reading the lyrics all the time while you are in the band on stage, you will never get the feel right. And trust me, don't think the audience are foolish. They get it. They may not say it on your face. Your friends will say, "Man, you were amazing. You rock." But they will know. They will know, and then that will reflect on how they react to you the next time, right? So that is important. Create tension, create excitement in your performance. Use silence. Don't just go bang bang. Guitar riffs, chugging. All the time. Keep those breaks. Use silence in music. Use breakdowns in music. And then obviously interact with the audience. That's the key, because audience are there to enjoy with you. They don't want to see how good you are. They don't want to be zapped by your performance. They are there to have a good time. So interact and make them enjoy. That's from me.
Wonderful Fatte, sir. These were very practical tips. Anybody can implement them. So those are wonderful Fatte. We call it Fatte, some practical advice. Usually academic, but this was, wonderful. So my next, since about song selection choices, and we were pretty clear about what kind of songs sir writes and everything. So my next question is to the band about what do you like? Ayur also mentioned about original songs too, of which he has written, and probably you are going to play it. So tell us more about this. So do you do covers, renditions, original songs? Tell us about that.
Yeah, as of now, we have only done covers. So every musician actually starts with covers. That's the main point behind it. So we cannot just all of a sudden write our own songs. So first, we have been doing covers, but we learn from others, and then slowly learning. I have written 2 songs as of now, but I'm yet to arrange it with the band. So in our future projects, we are thinking of arranging my song with the band. So, and my theory of writing songs is actually I don't write the lyrics at first. I just write the rhythm in guitar and the melody, and then slowly put the lyrics in the right place. It's like that for me. And also about we don't want to reflect ourselves as a cover band, so we cannot just be doing covers forever. So slowly we are transitioning to the original thing.
Thank you so much, Ayur. Sir, my next question is quite common. I had actually prepared it, and many of the audience members also asked. And since you talked so openly about your struggles, it would be all the more helpful to everyone to know this thing that before, it's a common tendency. Before you start something new in life, you feel a bit insecure because it's a new phase. And since you switched between medicine to music, so that leap of faith, that courage, everyone doesn't have. So were you bogged down by financial insecurity, and did you feel a risk factor? Did you have a backup plan in case things didn't work out? There are many insecurities. So since you talked about your struggles, I think this is a common question as well. So how did you overcome the initial feeling of insecurity, the risk, and how did you evolve into full-time musician from such an amazing medical practitioner?
Well, the struggle is there. The fears are still there. I'll be honest. So, I mean, a part of this question has to deal with did I have a backup plan in mind, right? Something to fall back upon. The good thing was that I took the decision to shift to music very early while I was still working. It wasn't that I'll finish medicine today and go to music tomorrow. It wasn't like that. So when I took this decision in 2013, I spent the next 6 years planning for the retirement. So there was a backup plan during that time. So that's what I want to make it very clear. And those 6 years was spent on financial planning, saving up, investing and other stuff. I'm not a person who's very desirous of a big car or a big house. I mean, that was something that helped. So I had to keep my leisurely aspirations, so to speak, like less of travel and spending on eating out or uh, going for movies. I mean, I think I could have still done it, but yeah. But what I'm trying to say as a whole, as an approach which you should have is that plan for it. Plan for it at a till you reach a point where you do not have to have a backup plan. I mean, I'm not judging. I'm not saying that I'm successful yet. I'm not even 1% where I want to be. But plan for it so that eventually you don't have to have a plan B. Um, I'm very inspired by this quote by Will Smith, where he says that if you want to make your plan A work, don't get distracted by having a plan B, because that will always keep you pulling you and make you less motivated towards pursuing your vision for plan A. Um, so that's it. And on to make that plan A work, to be focused enough, you have to be honest. You have to be passionate. That's important. Be honest and be passionate. Don't do it because somebody else has done it. Don't say Gurpreet has done it, so today I also. It's not like that. And then it's obviously not about music. It could be any art form. But keep moving in that direction. Make mistakes, take breaks. Don't be hard on yourself. Be supportive to other musicians or other artists. Dwell or share other people's happiness. Just share other people's achievements, and it will all come back. That's what I believe. The universe will always align with your goals in due course. That's how I think one can eventually transition, or maybe not transition like what I have done for now, but balance two careers. I mean, that's one of the things which I would suggest.
Okay, sir. So a follow-up question from the audience is that from Dr. Suresh actually, that you took this leap of faith, from medicine to, and it was a transition as you said. So, and we cannot, help not think about what others are thinking about us actually. So, once you switched to a full-time musician, did you ever feel that you were looked down upon by your colleagues because you abandoned medicine and switched to music? Or did you actually feel that you were more appreciated for taking this leap of faith? And all these judgments, come raining down on you at the same time. So how did you cope up with all those judgments?
I always smile back like I'm doing right now. But no, just kidding. So before I left, there was, funny enough, your closest people, they criticize you more. I don't blame them. I don't think it's because of their own insecurities, or maybe they feel he has that opportunity or he's so driven. They do have genuine concerns. Like मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त cardiology, he said you are such a foolish guy. I've never seen a guy like you before. But I think that's also because in India we don't encourage these kind of things. And well, whatever it is, it had its pros and cons. But then things have changed, quite dramatically after I got into this field, because on a personal front, I was not even less judgmental about myself. I was also less judgmental about why people are saying this about me. And also, people, once they started realizing that the kind of work that I've done, because of being into this field of medicine, the kind of issues that I was talking about through medicine, through music, they became more and more appreciative. I think that was a good thing for me, because although I was not planning to get into these kind of social and health issues related songs, but that was a good thing because I had more acceptance as a result of that. The quality of work that I was churning out was also constantly improving, which is what I'm told. And that also really helped me get more appreciation and respect, not just among my own fraternity, but in the the field of music as a whole. So it's tough to stay away from that kind of feedback. It's not easy even now, but you have to learn to take it in your stride, and you have to sift between what is constructive and what is not. So, yeah.
So, sir, do you actually wish you switched the careers earlier, or like you like the things the way they are right now?
The only thing I would want to change is the learning process that I mentioned that I did in the class 12th and onwards. I could have structured it better, but I don't think I would have changed anything about what has happened in the last 6-7 years. It's just the way it is. It had to happen like that. to be honest.
We enjoyed the journey. Right.
Yeah.
Amazing, sir. So, since we are on the topic, let me ask it to the band. It's an audience question actually from one of my batchmates that after hearing this inspirational talk from Gurpreet sir, do you actually think that you might switch into music, full-time music, or would you continue medicine, or like, what is your initial reaction to this what sir said, and would you actually take this leap of faith, or what's your take on this?
Right now. And as Gurpreet sir said, just because he did it doesn't mean that we also have to do it. So it's all up in the air right now what we'll do ahead. Because I think no one has firm ideas what they want to do, especially in 6th semester already.
Yeah, just plan your next performance right now. That's all you could
Yeah,
think, I think.
right now we are planning examination to examination, assessment to assessment.
Right. Thank you, Arjun. So now, this is actually the last question I prepared, which kind of sums up metal meets metal. So I'll ask it to the band first that how does music affect your student life and you as an individual? How does it affect you as an individual? What since you started practicing music, how have you changed? So what does music have affect? Especially, you can also mention about your medical training as well.
Yeah, so I would say that music has always been a very big part of my life, and it's my biggest way to relieve any stress that I have regarding my studies or regarding how well I'm doing in my college or anything. Plus, it's a very, very good medium to express yourself. I can play what songs I like, I can play the way I want to, and I can sing whatever I want, sing however I want it. So it's a source of freedom in a way, which any other medium doesn't afford me. So that's how music has helped me personally, and I think other members of my band will also agree. So, like, Bharat, what do you have to say?
Same, only like I also feel the same. Like when I am too stressed about all the studying and all, I'll just go to my violin, just play, and then I'll be like forgetting everything for that specific moment. Like I don't know, I am not knowing anything. I'm just enjoying that moment. That's what it feels for me. And moreover, that like through this music, I came to meet Arjun, Joshua, Ayur, and all. And moreover, I came to meet even Gurpreet sir also, because like he is a very good inspirational person actually. When I was talking to Abhishek sir, like, and he was said, did you know like Gurpreet sir is going to get out of his job and then going like so for all out for music, and I was like, wow, that was a lot of guts. you know, I was actually amazed when I heard it. But right now, he is like doing very good, I guess, like making all the songs. And he also gave me the opportunity, like, to go to an actual audio recording. Like I have been going to a lot of jam pads with Manan and all, but this time, like, he took to Aura's audio. Like it is completely just for audio recording. Like it was a very good experience for me. Like at least I have been there for like 5 hours, I guess. 5 hours completely doing that thing. It was actually a very good experience. And like that, Vishnu sir and all the PA sir and all. It is really good to meet all the people. What about Joshua? What do you say?
Yeah, so apart from the satisfaction and relief from stress that it gives me, what I feel about music is that I can create renditions and my own versions of my favorite artists like David Gilmour, Jimmy Page, even Ray Manzarek. So when the satisfaction I get when I finally perform or make these versions is immense. Another thing is that the rush performing live gives you this amazing rush. It's really an awesome experience to get on that stage perform to hundreds of people, and knowing that all those weeks of effort finally paid off. So that is one thing. And like Bharat said, I would never have had had a close relationship to the other members of the band if it weren't for music. Even we even went to a weekend in 2019. We were planning to go in 2020 and 2021, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So yeah, so that's music for me.
Yeah.
What about you, Ayub?
For me also, it's the feeling, the same feeling that you said, the rush that we get from performing, especially like when we are performing on stage in front of hundreds of people. It's like that rush that you get, like the audience, they are moving to your commands. It feels like that to me, and it feels really like words cannot describe how it feels. And it's music is not just about stress relieving for us. It's like you don't have to, when you are stressed, you listen to music and then you get less stressed. That is true, but you don't have to just be stressed when listening to music. You can be happy and then listen to music and become more happy. That's my thing.
Yeah, so
Arvind.
I think some of the best memories I've had till now in college are with these three guys just jamming in the music room day and night. Whenever we'd get a chance, we've had we've also jammed a lot in my room. So many of my wing mates are very irritated with what I keep on doing at like 12 p.m., 3 a.m., stuff like that. I just whip out my guitar and practice, and they'd message me, please don't do this, things like that. So one thing is that I'll know that I'd never be alone. We'll always have music, and we'll always have this band to fall back on. And the weekend that Joshua talked about, that was a fantastic music concert we went to. We got tickets to Pune to go to Pune, and all four of us went there together, and that was just an amazing experience. So, yeah, that's it.
That makes me reminiscent of the college days that I never had. So wonderful. Thank you, guys. Sir, same question to you, but let's since you experience medicine fully and music also, so do you think there's a connection between music? Does one thing affect the another? Like, let's take a bit of a philosophical tone here. Well, how do you think music affects medicine? How do you think music affected you as a medical practitioner as well? Sir, I think you're muted.
Said you are directing all the philosophical questions to me. Anyway, so
Oh,
what I'm trying to say is, yeah. Okay, no worries. I'm just kidding. So, music is therapeutic. As everybody else said, it's therapy for you. It's people use music for therapy for patients as well. But I'll just say two more things about what music has done for me personally. It makes you more disciplined. People say that the best way to get disciplined is to be attached to a religion. I don't think that's true. Music is the way to get disciplined for me, because especially I didn't have enough time for doing music while I was in my profession. So because I knew that I have to dedicate time to music, I had to set some time aside. It made me disciplined. So that is one thing that it has done for me. Even if I have all the time now for music, I still carry that discipline with me in terms of dividing time between practice to compositions to writing, collaborating, promoting myself, putting stuff on YouTube channel. So that's the kind of discipline that it has done for me even now. The other thing which music has done is it helps you to develop emotional intelligence. When you listen to your patients, we are used to looking at them, examining them, talking to them, writing a drug, and then they come back to us. But then medicine is much more than that. Medicine, if you remember, most of the people who actually become physicians in the earlier times were all philosophers to begin with, just like many of the engineers. So and they had this emotional intelligence because they were talking not just to the patient, but they were also trying to analyze why the patient is behaving in a certain way, which may not just be structural, but may actually have a lot of psychological component to it. So, if you ask me the philosophical side, yes, I don't go into those philosophical aspects when I talk to patients, or I used to talk to patients. But what I'll say is that on the surface, at least, music helps you develop that emotional intelligence. You listen to your patients more attentively, and you even talk to them about other things than just their treatment or their prognosis. The way you speak actually changes once if you have been into an art form. The way you talk to your patients can be so different once you've been an artist, and you're more sensitive to the way they express themselves and the way you convey what you feel about their disease to them. So that's what music has done for me.
So, philosophy can be a third full-time profession also. Those 2 points you made were simply wonderful and pure gold. So thank you so much for that. There are a few audience questions. One is to the band from Dr. Vidhu, that when did you realize that music is your calling amidst all these hectic studies? Like, even we cannot, as first year, imagine how did you even find time for all of this. But as ma'am is asking that, when did you realize that it was your calling amidst all the expectations that you had to face in your academic life?
I think I would say that the first music club meeting that I talked about in my presentation also, when we performed for our seniors, till then I had an idea that I'm an average to above average guitarist. But when I actually saw the reactions on their faces, I realized that I might consider myself average, but they don't. So that really gave me an inspiration to keep on playing more and more, get better, and it's just pure joy. The the joy it brings to us performing and the joy it brings to the person listening also, that it just amplifies. It just feels nice to make other people enjoy you being the source of their enjoyment, sort of. That was it for me. And then my dad also was also in a college band back in his college days. So he has really hyped me up. Okay, being a band is awesome. You should go and do it. You should play. So I really wanted to try and join one. First of all, that was there, and then I saw the reaction, and then I saw that there's these amazing batchmates that I had. It's almost like fate put us together into the same batch, into the same hostel, to the same floors almost, to perform and practice, to be able to hone our skills together. So I think that would be a calling. That would be my calling. I think others might also like to say something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of felt it when we first performed together as a band. I think it was during the Valentine's Day performance when our band was complete. We had a drummer, and it was an Ayur also joined us. And performing there, I felt like, okay, this is good. I want to do it more, and I want to continue this uh, performing and improving myself as a pianist, and also explore new avenues. So I feel like it was that performance which made me think about seriously investing into music. And also, I had plenty of support from my batchmates as well as my band, especially my bandmates, because they encouraged me. They told me to keep practicing, even when I was really lazy. And also, they gave me feedback on minor mistakes that I made, and they made me want to improve my style of playing, and uh, they made me want to be a better instrumentalist. So I feel like that performance was the starting point. What about you, Bharat?
For me, like I was there in other bands also before coming here only. Like in ninth, I was there in a band known as Copper Planet. But after 12th, I had to come here, so I just left from there. And now they are actually a growing, very good band in Kerala. They are like performing everywhere. Even Battle of Bands, they are winning Battle of Bands. They got first prize in Bangalore. So actually, I kind of got jealous also. Like I wanted to be there also actually. So that's what drive me through this actually. Ayur, do you,
For me, I still remember the first month that we had joined at AIMS. I remember the dissection hall talks with Arjun. So we were just talking about music, and then he suddenly said about Steven Wilson and Porcupine Tree, two of my favorite bands, artists. And then he was also as much into Porcupine Tree and all those progressive music as much as I was. So I was really happy about that, and then I was like, we should do something about this. Then it all started then.
Thank you so much. I think what in the chat box Arushi and Co-Chairman said pretty much sums up our session, that medicine is indeed Sir's religion, how he was attached to it and how he got disciplined and what. So I think that's it for the question answer session. Now we have one more performance from Gurpreet Sir. So let's move on to the last part, that is Sir's performance, and I hand it over to Vishwarup Sir and Pratap Sir.
Thank you, Manit. So, Mukul, we would like to have Gurpreet Sir's track now getting played. So, sir, before we start playing the track, can you say a bit about it? Your track, Kaid.
So,
I'll also
Kaid,
put up
I
the
did-
one note to the audience. I'll put up the link in the chat box as well for the track.
So as I was mentioning in the presentation, CAD was the last release of last year. CAD as an Imprisoned is a song that talks about a guy's struggle with his own inner demons, which you would imagine somebody going through a crisis of mental health would have. So he's talking about whether I'll be able to break myself off from these chains that hold me. These chains of depression or anxiety, or depending upon whatever the person is feeling at a point of time. And then he relies on his own inner strength to get rid of those chains. So that's what the breakdown section, the faster part, talks about. And eventually he says that even though God, you've made me, he blames God for it, but then ultimately he draws from the spirit within him to break off of those chains and emerge victorious. So that's the song's gist.
क्यों लड़ रहा, बट रहा हूँ कट रहा, उलझनों का है दायरा, क्या रख पाऊंगा मैं रवां, जिंदगी का ये कारवां, चल रहा जो सिलसिला, मुझसे क्या जुदा, खत्म होगी क्या कभी ये दर्द भरी दास्तां, ये दर्द भरी दास्तां, क्यों है खफा तू ही बता मुझको ऐ खुदा, क्यों कैद हूँ मैं, क्या बोझ है ये जिसके नीचे दबा, कब तक जीऊं यूं बेवजह, वो अब तू ही बता। क्या बदल पाऊंगा ये जहां और कट जाएगी ये सजा। क्या हंसी वो दौर था, वक्त ही कुछ और था, फिर किस्मतों ने चोट दी तो कोशिशें हुई थी दुआ, टूटे सभी अरमा यहाँ। क्यों है खफा तू ही बता मुझको ऐ खुदा, क्यों कैद हूँ मैं, क्या बोझ है ये जिसके नीचे दबा। कब तक जियूं यूं बेवजह, अब तू ही बता क्या बदल पाऊंगा ये जहां और कट जाएगी ये सजा। देखता हूँ मैं उनको आज भी, दिल की आवाज जो है ले दबी, जिस्म को मेरे जकड़े बेड़ियां, कैद रूह पे छोड़ दी निशान। ले हिम्मतें तोड़ बंदिशें, हाथ में पकड़ वो बेड़ियां, तोड़ के उन्हें लौट जाऊंगा, मिट जाएगी मेरी ये सजा। तोड़ के उन्हें लौट जाऊंगा, मिट जाएगी ये सजा। क्यों है खफा तू ही बता मुझको वह खुदा, क्यों कैद हूँ मैं, क्या बोझ है ये जिसके नीचे दबा। हाँ बदल पाऊंगा ये जहां और मिट जाएगी ये सजा, और मिट जाएगी ये सजा।
So as we reach today's, end of today's session, so I would ask Pratap sir for his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Vishwaroop. I would like to thank Professor Gurpreet Gulati for always staying connected to the heart, first through radiology and then through music. It was light to sound, left brain to right brain, and sounds simple, but we know that it's quite a journey. It's not easy at all, and his dedication to both the crafts has been enormous. I would like to thank the Blitzkrieg, Arjun, Joshua, Bharat, and Ayur for taking music as seriously as medicine. Dr. Biswaroop Chakrabarti for his masterful mentoring as well as for his orchestrating the discussion, because the discussion flowed, and it is largely to his credit that it flowed in such a fluid fashion. I would like to thank Manit Makravadia for his busy working and reworking of his questions and for his effortless anchoring. Finally, I would like to thank Mukul, Hardik, Anand, and Sairaj for their behind the scenes selfless support, both technical as well as artistic support in the form of making a poster. And finally, Aditi Sinha, Dr. Aditi Sinha, and the White Coat and other stories team for always being there with me. Thank you, everyone. I am sure that you had a wonderful experience today, and we look forward to having you back on the White Coat Stories at a later time, sometime in this year. Thanks a lot, and bye.